Imagine the world's most powerful titans, minds so driven, so relentless, that they refuse to be second to anyone. Business is often portrayed as a game of strategy, a series of calculated moves where risk and reward are delicately balanced. But for these titans, it's not a game, it's a battlefield where pride, ambition, and legacy collide. These rivalries are not just tales of competition. They're wars that reshaped industries, set new standards, and changed the course of history. We'll explore 5 of the most controversial business rivalries ever, stories of betrayal, revenge, and the hunger to dominate. Each rivalry is a lesson in ambition and perseverance, a testament to what happens when unstoppable forces meet immovable objects. 1. Coca-Cola versus Pepsi, the Cola Wars. Imagine a hot summer day. You reach for a cold, refreshing drink. But what if that simple choice between two sodas was a decision forged by decades of fierce rivalry, billions of dollars in marketing, and cultural influence that shaped the globe? This is the world of Coca-Cola and Pepsi, two giants who have been locked in a relentless battle for over a century. It all began in the late 19th century. Coca-Cola, created by John Pemberton in 1886, quickly established itself as a symbol of refreshment. The brand was classic, nostalgic, associated with joy and togetherness. A few years later, in 1898, Pepsi was born, crafted by Caleb Bradham, a pharmacist who wanted to create a refreshing digestive aid. What seemed like a simple business of selling syrup became a rivalry that spanned continents. In the 1930s, Pepsi declared war, pricing its drink at just 5 cents for twice the amount of Coca-Cola. While the Great Depression crushed businesses, Pepsi thrived, becoming the drink of the everyday person. Coca-Cola had the prestige, but Pepsi began to appeal to the masses. The battle wasn't just on the shelves, it was in culture. In the 1970s, Pepsi launched the Pepsi Challenge, a blind taste test that claimed more people preferred Pepsi over Coke. The audacity of such a move forced Coca-Cola to retaliate. In 1985, Coca-Cola made the drastic decision to change its century-old formula, releasing New Coke, a move that backfired, creating a public uproar. People didn't just like Coca-Cola, they loved what it represented: nostalgia, familiarity, and tradition. Pepsi, meanwhile, positioned itself as the drink of the younger generation, rebellious, dynamic, and bold. Their commercials featured icons like Michael Jackson, whose influence was unstoppable. Coca-Cola fought back, investing billions to reclaim its throne, securing partnerships with the Olympics and cultural events to reinforce its dominance. But beneath the glitz of advertisements and sponsorships, the rivalry was deeper, a constant battle for market share, each trying to outsmart and outshine the other. Even today, when you walk into a restaurant or store, the question often asked is, Coke or Pepsi? It's a choice that goes beyond taste. It's loyalty to a brand and everything it stands for. 2. Apple versus Microsoft, the war of innovation. Now, let's shift from the fizz of sodas to the realm of technology, a world defined by creativity, control, and competition. Imagine two men, young and ambitious, both driven to change the world. One is a college dropout with a love for aesthetics and perfection. The other, a math genius who sees the world through logic and efficiency. This is the story of Steve Jobs and Bill Gates, the visionaries behind Apple and Microsoft. The 1970s were a time of exploration in technology. In a small garage, Jobs and his partner Steve Wozniak built the first Apple computer, a machine that was personal, beautiful, and intuitive. Meanwhile, Gates, alongside Paul Allen, was developing software that could power computers universally. Their paths crossed early. Microsoft developed software for Apple's early systems. Gates respected Jobs' brilliance, while Jobs admired Gates' intellect. But admiration quickly turned into rivalry. In 1985, Apple released the Macintosh, a revolutionary computer with a graphical user interface that made technology accessible to everyday people. Microsoft, meanwhile, was working quietly, developing its own operating system, Windows. When Windows 1.0 launched, Jobs felt betrayed, believing Gates had stolen his ideas. He famously accused Gates of having no shame and called him unimaginative. Gates, known for his calm demeanor, retorted, "Well, Steve, I think it's more like we both had this rich neighbor named Xerox, and I broke into his house to steal the TV set, and I found out that you had already stolen it." The rivalry intensified. Apple portrayed Microsoft as the dull, corporate giant, while Microsoft saw Apple as elitist and impractical. Their approaches were fundamentally different. Apple controlled hardware and software to create a seamless experience, while Microsoft licensed its software to every possible manufacturer, dominating the market. In the late 1990s, Apple was on the verge of collapse. Microsoft, controlling over 90% of the global operating system market, seemed untouchable. But in a twist of irony, Gates invested $150 million to save Apple, not out of kindness, but to avoid monopoly accusations and to keep his greatest competitor alive. The 2000s brought a resurgence for Apple. With the iPod, iPhone, and iPad, Apple became not just a tech company, but a cultural phenomenon. Microsoft, while still a titan, struggled to maintain its innovative edge. The rivalry that had once been defined by animosity softened as Jobs and Gates aged, their competitive spirit tempered by time. Their story is a lesson in vision, ambition, and the undeniable power of rivalry to drive innovation. Without Microsoft, Apple may never have fought so hard to survive. Without Apple, Microsoft may never have pushed itself beyond business computing. This rivalry didn't just shape an industry, it changed how the world interacts with technology. 3. Ford versus Ferrari, the race for glory. Imagine the deafening roar of engines, the smell of burning rubber, and a crowd that's on edge, awaiting the moment when machines and men are pushed beyond their limits. This is the 24 Hours of Le Mans, the most prestigious and grueling race in the world, a stage where speed meets endurance and legends are made. In the 1960s, it became the battleground for one of the most intense rivalries in automotive history, Ford versus Ferrari. The story begins with Henry Ford II, the grandson of the legendary Henry Ford, a man burdened with the responsibility of modernizing the Ford Motor Company. By the early 1960s, Ford had become a symbol of mass production, practical, efficient, and accessible. But Ford wanted more. He craved prestige, an image that appealed to the youth and the thrill seekers. The solution: win at Le Mans, where European automakers like Ferrari ruled with dominance. Ford decided to buy Ferrari, a company synonymous with racing excellence. Enzo Ferrari, the founder, was an enigmatic man, passionate, proud, and fiercely protective of his brand. Initially, negotiations seemed promising. Ford's representatives arrived in Italy with a massive offer, one that could save Ferrari from financial difficulties. But when Enzo saw the fine print, clauses that gave Ford control over his beloved racing team, he rejected the deal. He considered it a personal insult, an invasion of his life's work. To add salt to the wound, he reportedly mocked Ford, calling them just assembly line workers who knew nothing of the artistry of racing. Henry Ford too was enraged. This wasn't just a failed business deal, it was a humiliation. Driven by revenge, Ford vowed to defeat Ferrari at Le Mans and bury them under the weight of his resources. Money was no object. He poured millions into developing a car that could shatter Ferrari's dominance. The result was the Ford GT40, a machine built to defy limits. Ford enlisted the genius of Carroll Shelby, a legendary racer and automotive designer, and Ken Miles, a stubborn yet brilliant driver. In 1966, after years of failure, Ford finally tasted victory. At the 24 Hours of Le Mans, they not only defeated Ferrari, but secured a 1-3 finish, a crushing, symbolic victory that declared Ford's dominance. They went on to win 3 more consecutive Le Mans races, firmly establishing Ford's place in racing history. This rivalry wasn't just about cars. It was a clash of ideologies: American mass production versus Italian craftsmanship, industrial might versus artistic passion. It reshaped motorsports, setting a new standard for engineering, design, and competitive spirit. Ford's relentless pursuit of victory showed the world that business can be personal, that success can be born from spite, and that sometimes revenge can drive innovation. For Adidas versus Puma, a family divided. Now, let's step away from engines and racetracks and enter the world of sportswear, a world marked not just by competition, but by a family feud so intense that it divided an entire town. This is the story of Adidas and Puma, two brands born from the same family and the same vision, yet separated by bitterness. In the small German town of Herzogenaurach, two brothers, Adi Dassler and Rudolf Dassler, began crafting sports shoes in their mother's laundry room in the 1920s. Together, they founded the Dassler Brothers Shoe Factory, creating innovative, high-quality shoes that quickly gained attention. Their big break came when Jesse Owens won for gold medals at the 1936 Berlin Olympics while wearing their shoes, a victory that showcased their brand to the world. But as their success grew, so did the tensions. The brothers had starkly different personalities. Adi was quiet, meticulous, a craftsman at heart. Rudolf was charismatic, ambitious, and driven by sales. The strain of World War II deepened their rift. When American forces arrived in Herzogenaurach, Rudolf believed Adi had betrayed him, leading to his arrest. Resentment turned into hostility. In 1948, the brothers officially split. Adi formed Adidas, a combination of his first and last names, while Rudolf created Puma, a name symbolizing speed and power. The split was so bitter that the entire town of Herzogenaurach took sides. Families were divided, marriages were strained, and businesses declared allegiance. Even the town's football club split, with half wearing Adidas and the other half in Puma. The rivalry between the brands fueled relentless innovation. Adidas became known for technical excellence, crafting shoes for the world's top athletes, while Puma embraced bold, stylish designs appealing to younger, trendier markets. In the 1970 World Cup, Puma's daring move to pay Pell to tie his shoes on the field, a stunt that captured global attention, intensified the feud. For decades, the brothers refused to speak to each other. Even on their deathbeds, they remained separated by a rivalry so consuming that they were buried at opposite ends of the same cemetery. Yet, this intense competition propelled both brands to global dominance, shaping the sportswear industry as we know it today. Adidas and Puma are not just brands, they are legacies of a family torn apart by ambition, pride, and unyielding determination. 5. Netflix vs. Blockbuster. The rise of a giant, the fall of a titan. Imagine a time when Friday nights meant driving to a local Blockbuster store, wandering down aisles of VHS tapes or DVDs, debating which movie to pick. It was a ritual for millions, a symbol of weekend relaxation. At its peak in the early 2000s, Blockbuster had over 9,000 stores worldwide and was valued at billions. Yet today, it's remembered as a cautionary tale, a giant brought down by a company it once laughed at, Netflix. The rivalry began in the late 1990s when Reed Hastings, co-founder of Netflix, found himself paying a $40 late fee for an overdue Blockbuster rental. Frustrated by the inconvenience, Hastings envisioned a different way to watch movies, a mail-order DVD service with no late fees. In 1997, Netflix was born. Initially, it struggled, but the founders believed in the potential of digital transformation and online streaming, even when most people still rented physical media. In 2000, facing financial difficulties, Hastings proposed a partnership to Blockbuster. He suggested selling Netflix to them for just $50 million, hoping to merge Netflix's online platform with Blockbuster's vast retail presence. Blockbuster's CEO at the time, John Antioco, dismissed the idea, reportedly laughing Hastings out of the room. Blockbuster believed its brand was untouchable, a permanent part of American culture, But Netflix persisted. They introduced a subscription model, no late fees, unlimited rentals, and an expanding library of films delivered straight to customers' mailboxes. By the mid-2000s, as internet speeds improved, they began pioneering streaming technology. Blockbuster, meanwhile, attempted to adapt but was weighed down by their traditional business model, franchise agreements, and internal conflicts. When the 2008 financial crisis hit, Blockbuster's massive debt and inability to shift quickly to a digital-first approach crushed them. In 2010, Blockbuster filed for bankruptcy, and Netflix's streaming service soared, transforming not just the movie rental business, but the entire entertainment industry. Today, Netflix has over 230 million subscribers worldwide and has become a dominant force in original content production. This rivalry is more than just a battle of business strategies. It's a story about innovation versus complacency, a testament to how swiftly industries can change. Blockbuster's downfall serves as a stark reminder to businesses: never underestimate the power of disruption, never ignore the potential of technology, and never be too proud to adapt. Netflix's victory wasn't just about technology. It was a triumph of vision, foresight, and the courage to defy convention. Business rivalries are more than just competition for market share. They are battles that define industries, drive innovation, and inspire a relentless pursuit of greatness. From Ford versus Ferrari, a rivalry driven by speed, ego, and legacy, to Netflix versus Blockbuster, a battle of vision versus complacency, each of these stories reveals valuable lessons about strategy, resilience, and the price of arrogance. Rivalries push companies to their limits, forcing them to think faster, act smarter, and innovate continuously. They bring out the best in some, like Steve Jobs' relentless pursuit of perfection at Apple or Reed Hastings' commitment to redefining entertainment through Netflix. But they also expose the vulnerabilities of giants who believe they are too big to fail, like Blockbuster and Kodak. At the heart of every rivalry is the unyielding desire to win. But what sets apart the winners from the losers is their ability to adapt, to see the bigger picture, and to take calculated risks. The competitors who refused to change, who ignored the warning signs of disruption, eventually fell behind. Meanwhile, those who embraced innovation, challenged conventions, and stayed focused on the future became the new titans of their industries. Ultimately, these business rivalries remind us that success is not just about defeating the competition, it's about pushing boundaries, challenging norms, and continually evolving. Industries are shaped, legacies are crafted, and history is written by those who dare to fight, not just to survive, but to dominate. And as long as there is ambition, innovation, and the hunger to lead, there will always be rivalries, each one leaving an indelible mark on the world. Before you go, we want to hear from you. Which of these rivalries do you think had the most significant impact on its industry? Did we miss a legendary business battle that should have made the list? Drop your thoughts in the comments below. If you enjoyed this video and want more content like this, make sure to like, share, and subscribe to Head of Billions for more deep dives into the world of business, success, and the stories that shape industries. Turn on the notification bell so you never miss an upload. Thanks for watching, and remember, the next great rivalry could be just around the corner.